In the wild, the honey badger is a name that commands caution from many animals. It is not large, yet it stands out for its resilience and a near fearlessness. Whether facing prey or a dangerous predator, it is always willing to close the distance. In this species, strength does not come from size, but from an unyielding will. So what is it that makes the honey badger so remarkable? Across the savannas and forest edges of Africa, many venomous snakes are regarded as formidable opponents. The puff adder carries a thick body, its camouflage blending almost completely into the dry ground. The cobra stands out with its wide, flared hood, a clear warning signal. They possess potent venom and a reaction speed of about 0.3 seconds, fast enough to make most predators hesitate. Yet for the honey badger, they remain a nutrient-rich target. When it detects its prey, it moves in directly toward the defensive zone, forcing the snake to constantly adjust its angle. Counterstrikes come in rapid bursts, and the target attempts to create distance, sometimes even climbing a tree to escape. Even so, the honey badger continues the pursuit with remarkable persistence, maintaining pressure until the snake is forced back to the ground. What makes this predator especially unique is its partial natural resistance to venom. In some cases, even after being affected during the encounter, the honey badger may simply lie still, as if slipping into a brief sleep. After about 1 to 2 hours, its body can gradually recover, allowing it to rise again, as though the test of survival has only just begun. In the wild, few rewards are as small, yet as valuable as honey. It is not only a rare sweetness, but also a concentrated source of energy, gathered by worker bees through countless flights. Because of this, each hive serves as both a fortress and a reserve that few species are willing to approach. But the honey badger is different. With a spatial memory like a living map, it can remember the location of a hive for months and return at exactly the right time. As the air begins to settle, the honey badger moves in. It uses its powerful forelimbs to work through hollow trunks or narrow openings, avoiding a direct approach into the most heavily defended areas. The bees respond immediately. Thousands of stings surround it, yet a skin nearly 1/4 inch thick allows it to maintain the advantage in that critical moment. It moves in just far enough to reach the most energy-rich portion, then pulls back before the pressure becomes too intense. For this reason, the honey badger's success does not come from staying long, but from knowing exactly when to enter and when to leave. In the wild, survival often belongs to those who understand the value of every second and every source of energy. Across the African grasslands, the lion stands as a symbol of power. An adult male can weigh around 500 pounds, each step carrying the presence of a territorial ruler. That presence alone is often enough to make many animals change direction. But the savanna always has its exceptions. The honey badger is one of them. At only about 30 pounds, far smaller, yet possessing a resolve that makes every approach unpredictable. As the honey badger moves across the grass, the lion begins to close in. In response, the small animal shows no hesitation. It raises the pale fur along its back, releases sharp warning sounds, and surges forward in short bursts, as if determined to claim the initiative from the very first moment. The confrontation stretches longer than expected. The lion soon recognizes that this is not a target worth excessive energy. The honey badger is too persistent, too difficult to subdue, and it carries a defensive scent gland with a sharp, overpowering secretion that disrupts any close approach. In the end, what remains is not a question of absolute strength, but a calculation of what cost is truly worth the exchange. What makes the honey badger formidable is not its size, but the survival tools shaped through evolution. Each time it moves toward a larger opponent, the balance is no longer a simple matter of weight. In front of it stands a South African oryx, with horns nearly 47 inches long and a solid, muscular frame. As the distance closes, the larger animal reacts instantly in defense. But for the honey badger, the first advance is not necessarily a disadvantage. It functions more like a probe, measuring turning speed, reaction direction, and any opening the opponent reveals. Once it understands that rhythm, it may even approach an African elephant weighing around 13,000 pounds. The honey badger does not need to overpower. It only needs to apply enough pressure to make each step of its opponent more cautious. At the end of the dry season, when insects become scarce and honey sources are harder to find, the honey badger is forced to expand its diet to avoid an energy deficit. Out on the savanna, an ostrich egg can become a substantial reward. Each one weighs over 3 pounds and is protected by a thick, durable shell, enough to deter most predators. But for the honey badger, it is not an obstacle, but a problem worth solving with persistence. It does not rely on brute force to break the shell. Instead, it rolls the egg away from the nest, guiding it towards solid rocks or sturdy tree bases, then repeats a series of calculated impacts. Each attempt creates only a small change, but persistence is what makes the difference. For this reason, the honey badger is not only a resilient hunter, but also a highly capable strategist with a sharp mind. In the wild, survival sometimes belongs to the one willing to wait for just one more impact. In the reptile world of swamp regions, the crocodile is an ambush specialist with one of the strongest bite forces in nature, reaching over 3,700 pounds per square inch. That advantage alone is enough to keep most prey away from the water's edge. But the honey badger rarely targets an opponent within its strongest territory. Instead, it focuses on younger crocodiles when they leave the safety of the water to hide in dense vegetation. To engage, the honey badger approaches from the side, avoiding the direction of the jaws and waiting for the right moment when the opponent loses balance. It does not rush in blindly, but uses that brief opening to apply pressure at close range. With a strong bite and remarkable persistence, this small predator quickly turns a moment of vulnerability into an advantage. The outcome of the encounter is not only about a protein-rich food source. What stands out is not just the reward, but how a small body recognizes a rare opening and transforms it into a chance for survival. Pythons are large reptiles, known for their muscular bodies and effective camouflage. They do not rely on venom, but hunt through ambush, waiting for the right moment to close in at very short range. With a constriction force of around 7 pounds per square inch, they become formidable predators in dense brush and swamp habitats. But this time, its hiding place has been detected by the honey badger's keen sense of smell. It constantly shifts angles, moving in and pulling back quickly to disrupt the snake's coiling rhythm. Each time the python turns its body, the honey badger finds a new opening, turning the encounter into a contest of reflexes rather than strength. Then the dynamic shifts when a jackal passes by, drawing attention away for a brief moment. The honey badger seizes that opening to ease the pressure, stepping back slightly before re-establishing control. In the end, what remains is not just a feeding opportunity, but a reminder that in the wild, the one who maintains composure longer often gains the advantage. Hyenas represent a different kind of power on the savanna, one built on group dynamics. They rely not only on persistence, but also on jaws capable of generating over 1,000 pounds per square inch of powerful force, enough to make even larger rivals hesitate. Yet when that circle closes around a honey badger, the encounter does not follow the usual pattern of strength in numbers. Under pressure from multiple directions, the honey badger does not retreat. It activates its chemical defense once again, releasing a strong, pungent scent that immediately challenges the safe distance of its opponents. With thick, loose skin and explosive reactions at close range, the small animal quickly becomes a target too costly to keep pressing. In the end, the standoff gradually dissolves into caution. As the hyenas ease their formation and the honey badger quietly moves on, it is as if the savanna has acknowledged another uncrowned ruler continuing its solitary path. Stepping to this water's edge also means entering the crocodile's hunting zone. From beneath the surface, each approach is extremely fast, highly precise, and almost without warning. Even other predators can lose their advantage in a single moment. In the wild, who can hold the advantage once the crocodile has begun its move? On the open plains, the lion emerges as a dominant force. But along murky riverbanks, that authority is challenged by the ruler of the wetlands, the Nile crocodile. When these two powers meet, it is not simply a contest over food, but a collision of territory and control. Tension often builds around large remains drifting near the shore, where both are drawn to the same source of energy. In a split second, the water shifts. A sudden strike, powered by a bite force measured in thousands of psi, erases any safe distance. The lion reacts instantly, pulling back toward land as the river settles into a heavy silence. Yet when the crocodile is isolated on dry ground, the balance quickly changes. With a body weighing around 1,000 pounds, its movement becomes limited. The lion uses agility and group pressure, approaching from blind angles to contain the situation. The crocodile turns repeatedly to avoid each advance, but the pressure from multiple directions leaves little room to maneuver. In the end, the wetland ruler retreats back into deeper water. Encounters like these are often brief, but they reveal a clear truth. In the wild, survival belongs to those who understand the limits of their domain. The tension in the wetlands does not end there. The leopard, with the agility of a master predator, sometimes ventures close to the water's edge to take advantage of food, remains near the shore. But at that boundary, the crocodile holds the full advantage. A single, sudden movement from beneath the murky water is enough to force the cat to pull back, using every bit of reflex and speed. In other situations, when the leopard is forced to cross areas under crocodile control, the balance can shift rapidly. In a critical instant, it struggles to break free from a powerful grip. At such close range, timing becomes the deciding factor. Along this fragile boundary, survival often belongs to the one that understands the environment better than its rival. Each year, as the Great Migration sweeps across the Serengeti and the Masai Mara, vast herds of zebras and wildebeest surge towards the river crossings like an endless moving current. Across the plains, the pounding of hooves echoes like the drums of survival. But once they reach the water's edge, that speed quickly gives way to hesitation. This is where the crocodiles have already been waiting for months. Hidden beneath the murky water, they reveal only their eyes and the top of the snout near the surface. They do not need to chase across the grasslands. What they wait for is the right moment, when thousands of animals press into the current at once and create the unavoidable chaos of a massive river crossing. Within that overlapping movement, zebras with their bold stripes and wildebeest with their heavy, solid frames are pushed into a harsh test of reflexes and formation. A single animal falling out of rhythm, drifting from the herd, or losing balance in the current is enough to break the safety of the group. That is when the crocodile brings its full advantage into play. With a bite force of around 3,700 pounds per square inch, it works to pull the target toward deeper water, where the prey's advantage fades quickly. From there, the crossing becomes a double test, as the strong current and the pressure of ambush narrow every chance to recover. Even so, most of the herd continues to drive forward towards the far bank, pressing on in a journey where every step depends on vigilance. This is not just a single act of predation, but a repeated pattern across the African plains during each migration season. Through patience and precise timing, the crocodile continues to hold its role in the balance that moves along the river of life. In the Nile River basin, the impala represents speed and alertness. With a light frame and powerful legs, it can reach speeds of around 55 miles per hour, fast enough to leave many land threats behind. But at the water's edge, that advantage begins to fade. Here, the crocodile controls the rhythm. Lying low beneath murky water, it nearly disappears into mud and shadow. Every subtle vibration from the shoreline, each cautious step of its target, can be detected through highly sensitive receptors along its snout and skin. When the impala moves within just a few feet, stillness suddenly gives way to a short, precise motion. In less than a second, the force from its muscular tail drives the crocodile forward, securing the target before the surface can settle again. a narrow distance becomes a decisive advantage. Yet not every ambush succeeds. The success rate of these strikes remains below roughly 15%. After a missed attempt, the predator slips quietly back beneath the river, as if it were never there. In the wild, advantage belongs not only to strength, but to the patience to begin again. Along the narrowing rivers of the dry season, scarcity creates a quiet but unmistakable pressure. As water levels fall, each remaining pool quickly becomes a space of vital importance. For large reptiles that depend on the water's edge, it is not just shelter, but territory that directly influences survival and reproduction. When an unfamiliar individual crosses that boundary, the calm surface shifts almost instantly. A powerful tail sweep sends water surging upward, followed by the sharp sound of armored bodies colliding in confined space. Each display serves as a clear signal of spatial control, forcing the rival to weigh holding position against conserving energy. In this world, retreat is not necessarily failure. Often, it is the most precise decision to preserve strength and wait for another opportunity in the harsh, dry season, where a single, well-timed choice can shape the outcome of an entire season of survival. In the world of big cats, the cheetah stands as a clear symbol of speed. It can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, turning open grassland into a space few can match. But that advantage exists only briefly, before rapid breathing and physiological strain begin to build after the sprint. Everything changes when thirst draws the cheetah to the water's edge. Here, speed no longer decides the outcome. The crocodile lies low beneath murky water, waiting for the precise moment the head lowers and focus shifts to the surface. Then, in a single short movement, the water breaks open, and the cheetah must pull back with every remaining reflex to clear the danger zone along the bank. Yet that distance is not always enough to retreat. At the river's edge, a single slowed moment can reverse the roles between pursuer and the one at risk. Survival in this setting depends not only on speed, but on recognizing where control is no longer held. Across the murky wetlands of Africa, the hippopotamus appears like an unshakable fortress. Weighing around 4,000 pounds, with skin nearly 2 inches thick, it commands the water with absolute confidence. Yet beneath the gaze of these giants, a silent presence waits with patience. The crocodile, a master of ambush, never rushes. It tracks the smallest movements, keeping its body perfectly concealed below the surface. When it edges too close to a pod's territory, the hippos respond with forceful territorial pressure, driving the intruder away from the shallows. The crocodile avoids direct confrontation. Instead, it relies on precision and timing to search for a gap within this tightly guarded. A single calf separated from its mother for just a few seconds can shift the entire balance. From below, multiple angles of approach close in rapidly, sealing off escape routes before the target fully reacts. In this moment, instinct and strategy outweigh raw strength. Yet the wetlands follow strict rules. If isolated among the pod, the predator itself faces overwhelming risk under collective pressure. Any attempt to resist quickly fades as group order takes hold. A quiet lesson of nature. Between strategy and sheer force, the line between hunter and hunted can be as thin as a single breath. The encounter comes to a close, yet the mark of the honey badger remains. This animal stands out not for its size, but for its rare persistence. In the wild, determination can at times be more formidable than strength. Because of this, the honey badger holds a unique place among all species. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along.